right, let's try this again. Let's see how we're doing in Facebook land.
My fault.
Your fault? You're taking the fault? Just trying to get myself organized here. There we go. Now we're right. Right and ready. All right, I'm going to get you to zoom down for me. Hi, Dana. Just going to get organized here. Hi, Jackie. How are you? Awesome. Get the glare off that ruler. All right, so we're going to make a pretty card today. Hi, Eileen. How are you? So once we get going, I'll zoom down just a little bit closer. But for now, I'm just going to say hi to everyone. Hi, Jamela. Hi, Rose. So we're going to make a pretty card today. I've got a couple samples of different ways that you can do them. So again, this is our retro card making. Let's go back to what we've done in the past and recreate it and make it new again. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Betty Ann. How are you? So glad you could join us. Everyone's doing great. Awesome. So our little tale of woe is that we have been without a furnace for 10, 12 days now. Our furnace died and they actually locked it out. So, so thank God we have a wood stove. So then there was a whole bunch of schmodule and, you know, stuff like that to get the new furnace put in. So they finally installed it today. And apparently, I've not been in the house, but apparently it is rockin' warm in the house. So I'm happy for that. So we have just been crazy out here and the store is busy. I just had a delivery from my FedEx guy. So we're going to show that. We had like 5 or 6 boxes. So we're going to show that tomorrow. There's no way I have enough time because he's late to get that out to show you guys. So we'll do that tomorrow. So you guys are going to get so sick and tired of me. It's going to be like we're back in lockdown again. All right. So this is the card that we are going to create today. And I'm not sure if you've ever created a card like this. It's just an A2 size card. Okay, and I'm going to walk you through on how you're going to cut it, how we're going to do all the things that we're going to do for it. And then as long as you like the video, comment, we will do a winner tomorrow at end of day for the card that we're making, okay? So I've got just a few tips and tricks and, you know, just that kind of thing to get us reacquainted with our cards. So you can do this type of card any size that you want, because all you're doing is you're going to alter the front of the card. So this one is an A2. This one is an A2 as well with the tag on the inside, right in the center. And it's totally up to you. You can have it to the left. You can have it to the right. If you're a center girl, have it in the center. This one is a 5x5, and I'm obviously a center girl, so I centered it in the center of this one. So it doesn't matter the size of the card, it is still going to work because we're only working on the front flap of the card, okay? I do too. So I've been in a real craft mode this week. This is American Crafts Dark Craft. And it is so nice. It's nice and sturdy. It's a really heavy weight for a smooth cardstock. So I have been loving this. I obviously die cut this. It works perfect. I've been using it a lot and I love brown and pink. They're my 2 favorite colors. So let's get started. Now for the magic of TV, I've gone ahead and I have already done some pre-cutting, but I'm gonna give you the measurements. I'm gonna do all the things so that you guys know what I'm doing and where I'm at. Thanks, Jackie. Hi, Lynn. How are you? I miss your beautiful face. Hi, Beth. Beth was in earlier today. The pink and brown is just awesome. Hi, Mary. How are you? Mary says hi. Gary's here with me. All right, so I have gone ahead and I have cut a A2 size card. Good afternoon, Joanne. So my paper is 4 1/4 wide by 11. Okay, so that is your standard A2 size is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I've taken a piece of 12 by 12, I have cut it 4 1/4 by 11, and I have scored it at the 5 1/2 mark. Hi Eleanor, how are you? So right in half, so half of 11 is 5 1/2, right? So again, I'm using textured cardstock, so I'm going to want to score on my textured side, which I say is my good side. And then we're just going to gently fold it back, make sure that we have our ends lined up before we commit to creasing. Always take that second to be sure that everything is lined up, all your edges are perfect. Sometimes, depending on what you're using for a bone folder, if your bone folder has a jagged edge, or you're using an old scoreboard, you may not be getting the perfect score. So that's why I always want to make sure that you line up your ends, because there's nothing worse than having to trim it off. Okay, so this is our card base now. So it's a tent card. So it's not a book card. So you know I refer to books that open like a book. This is a tent card. So it opens this way. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to create our front. So what we're going to do is from our score fold, we are going to measure down and cut our first flap, and we are going to measure this to be 1 3/4 inch. So from your fold line, we're going to put it in the trimmer. I'm sorry, I hope you can see this. I'm going to line up my score crease at 1 3/4. So I hope you guys can see. Can you zoom down just a bit, Gary? Mm-hmm. Close, just for this little section. Okay, so there's my score line right here. I'm lining this up on the 1 3/4 mark, and I'm going to cut. Okay, so there is our top flap. So we have this cut now. Now what I want to do with my piece from the bottom, I'm now going to measure this. And again, this is an individual thing where you're going to want to decide. You might want a bigger tag, you might want a smaller tag, you might want a bigger opening. It's all on your kind of idea of what you want to do. So for my card, I have made my bottom piece 1 1/2 inch. So it's already the right size at 4 1/4. So I'm just going to turn it, and I'm going to measure this again because I just forgot, at 1 1/2. Now, when I'm using a guillotine, I find that my papers always move on me. So I'm going to take my card base, I'm going to line it up at the 1 1/2. Okay, now I'm going to take my piece I want to cut, I'm going to butt it up against it, and this way I know it's locked into position at 1 1/2. Okay, so there we go, 1 1/2. We're going to commit. So now we have our bottom piece. So we have our top piece that has the flap, we have our bottom piece that is just free floating. So we're just going to set our card base down for a second. And I have gone ahead, just to save some time, I've gone ahead and I've cut my pieces of my pattern paper. So I like to always have a little bit of trim of my card base all the way around. Okay, can you zoom down just a bit, please? I like to have just a little bit of my card base showing around my pattern paper. So I'm going to cut it 1/8 inch smaller all the way around. So this piece here is 4 1/4 by 1 1/2. So I've cut my pattern paper 4 1/8 by 1 1/2. Okay. Now I've also gone ahead and done the same thing for my bottom piece. Now again, this is all going to depend on the size of your piece that you have on the bottom, whether it's bigger than mine or smaller than mine, it doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do quick is I'm just going to ink the edges of my pattern paper, and I'm using Vintage Photo for this. And it is just a nice way to add a little bit of vintage feel, and it kind of makes the paper pop off the cardstock. Hi Georgina, how are you? So I'm just going to ink up my edges here on this pretty paper. This pretty paper is from Pink Fresh. No, I'm sorry, it's not. It's Prima. It is Prima Marketing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to adhere my pattern paper onto my card pieces at the bottom. And again, this isn't rocket science. This is just taking some pretty paper, cutting it to the size of the tag that you need, because yours may be a little smaller, a little wider. Okay, so I have my trusty little dry baby wipe that I can take off any excess glue that happens to spill out. Now this piece, I've actually got this ready to go for my top. These cards are so pretty. We've even done them in a release party where we used vellum in the middle. So if you don't want that opening look, you can just use a piece of vellum. So in between here, instead of me being able to grab this, it would have a clear or printed piece of vellum that will come up with it, and you're going to glue that onto the inside. So that's another option of having a pretty card that you can just take to another level, right? Okay, so eventually this is going to go down here, and this is going to go on the top like this. But we need to make our centerpiece. So for this particular card, I've already cut my piece of cardstock for my tag, and I have cut this one 2 1/4 by 3 3/4. I have cut my pattern paper to be 2 1/8 by 3 1/2. This one actually isn't very straight. Let me see if I can straighten this up. Got a little bit of a nick on there. Give me 1 second. Seeing as I'm gifting this card, I got to make sure that it's 100%. Because if it's not, I won't be able to live with myself. There we go. Okay, so I just trimmed off a little piece because it was a little jagged. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to ink the edges of my pattern piece and glue it onto my tag. And this is just such a fun, quick card. I've been really making cards today. I've been in a little bit of a mental slump today, and I had some lovely ladies in this morning that helped to cheer me up, and it was nice to giggle and carry on and get inspired to do some pretty things. So I thank you very much for that, Beth and Shelley. Hi, Julie. How are you? How's the weather in England? Hi, Natalie. Oh, yes, I am absolutely crazy, and I'm a ruler girl. I measure everything. It has to be on the 8th, the 3/8, the 5/8. I'm a freak when it comes to that. So, yes, there's no way that I would be able to stand that. So, here's what we're going to do with getting our tag down. So, the easiest way that I have found to do this is to find out where I want my top piece to be sitting on my flap. Now that could be in the center, it could be to the right, it could be to the left. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my bottom piece down to the bottom, ensuring that all edges line up precise. Okay, and I want to do a quick visual to see that I have the same amount on the top as the bottom. Now normally that isn't something that I'm super crazy about. It depends on the pattern of the paper as well. And I know that I'm going to be safe with at least 1/4 to 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to adhere this top piece down onto my flap at the top. You always want to make sure that you don't have anything leaking out at the bottom. Wipe off any excess glue with your dry baby wipe. Okay. So now this is where you have to be just a little bit more particular down here. Hi, Shelley. I was just talking about you, kicking my butt, getting the lead out of my butt today. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that all of our lines are all of our edges are all nice and pretty, and that we know that we have it where we want it. Now, what I like to do is I'm going to hold on to this and just be sure that it's where I want it. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue up at the top of my flap, which you guys can't see. I just put a little bit of glue up at the top of my flap. make sure, because Dries Clear will stay wet for a little bit, I can take the time to make sure that everything is straight. And now I'm going to adhere this down. And so I'm only gluing it to the bottom piece, not to the card. Okay? Can you go back down just like a smidge? And then just on the back side, be sure that you don't have any glue or anything leaking out. If you happen to find that maybe you didn't go down quite enough down here, you can always just put a little extra glue just inside. That way you know for sure that it is totally secure. And then just use your dry baby wipe and take off any excess glue. Okay, so there is the front of our card base. Isn't that adorable and so easy to do? And again, it doesn't matter the size. It doesn't matter the type of cardstock that you're using. Now, if we were doing the 5x5 card, we would be doing the same thing. We're adhering on the top of this. We're adhering onto the bottom. And then when you open it, it's just open on the sides. I don't even know what this type of card is called, to be quite honest. So I'm going to take just some ribbon, put my pin in my glue so I can have it ready for the next time. So I'm using this really pretty May Arts twine. It's a pink twine. And I'm just going to wrap it around a few times. And I love using twine. It's one of my favorite things. When you're working on this, make sure you leave yourself a nice little tail. Okay, you want to have a tail that's hanging, and then just kind of hold it to the side so that when you're wrapping, it doesn't get caught up. And if you notice, I'm wrapping in kind of a funny angle because I want my ribbon, or sorry, my twine to sit kind of awkward on the card. Let me just get this back in focus here for you. Okay, so I always like to take my, actually, you know what? I've kind of gone ahead. I need to hold off on this. Let me just push that aside. I'm sorry. I forgot about my little bouquet that I have to cut. Let me just go here. And we're going to quickly just do some fussy cutting. This paper is just so pretty. It's got lots of rose gold on it. So I'm just going to fussy cut around this urn. Okay, leave me where I'm at. I got my director here and he's fiddling around. And it's one of these days where, you know, he just might want to watch what he's doing because he's living on the edge. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, exactly. All right, so just give me a second and I'll fussy cut this. Again, don't forget when you're fussy cutting, you want to have nice scissors. These are the Tim Holtz 5-inch snips. And you want to make sure that your left hand is controlling what you're doing and not so much the scissor, okay? It's a lot easier on your hands and you don't have to be so stressed working on this. And fussy cutting should be fun, relaxing. You shouldn't be all stressed. I know Kathy absolutely hates fussy cutting and would rather give a kidney than have to do it. But sometimes you have to when you want to have these nice little pieces, right? So I'm just going to go around. I'm never good on a corner. I don't know about you guys, but I cannot cut a circle. Even if the circle is drawn, I still cannot make a rounded corner. So whoever wins this card, I apologize in advance that it isn't perfect. But if you want perfect, then we get manufactured, right? So now I want this little vase to really pop up. I'm not normally one for doing a lot of dark inking on a project that is so feminine, but I really want to have this really pop off the card. And because I'm kind of in a brown mode, I'm going to use my vintage photo. I'm going to distress my edges. Okay. And then I'm going to use some pop dots on the back because I'm going to pop this onto my card. And I want to have just a little piece down at the bottom for the bottom of my vase because yes, I'm that person that wants that skinny little piece down there. So having nice little snips help to get you to the place you want to be with your project. knowing that it's all going to fit. Okay. So we're going to do some CPR on these little pop dots. That's going to help us take this off. Everything comes off nice and quick. This is such a quick little card. I really like making these. I made the 3 cards yesterday in like 10 minutes. So I already have my twine down here, which I'm just going to pull off because I want to be sure that I have everything where I want it, because I got ahead of myself. All right, so we're going to put a little bit of glue on the back of our pop dot, because we like to know that if we need to move it, we can. Helps to secure if you're using old pop dots. Now I'm just going to kind of find the center. Hope that it's somewhat straight, pop it on. So now it looks like it's 3D and elevated. Okay, so now you can really see how it's all starting to come together. So now we're gonna go back to where we were a second ago. It's kind of like deja vu here. All right, are we in screen? Might be a little too close now, just like a teeny tiny bit. All right, so I'm gonna hold my tail underneath my baby finger here, and I'm gonna wrap this around, but I don't wanna wrap it around super straight. I want it to kind of be funny. And then I'm going to put this underneath. One tail goes underneath to help secure the 3 together. And I'm gonna tie a nice tight knot. And before I get going too far, I like to have my string pulled apart on either side. So it just gives this cute little finish. And again, it's the little attention to detail that seems to make, you know, a beautiful project seem even that much more. And now I'm just going to make a bow. Use my tweezers to grab that little piece there. Okay, and then remember, you are the master of the bow. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our tails, we're going to pull them to the bottom of the card. Make sure that you have the same amount of length on your bows. And then you're going to take these and you're going to put your thumb in the center, and you're really going to pull, like pull with all your might without ripping it. Okay, and now look at how straight those tails are. And then we're just going to snip them a little bit down there, and look at how beautiful that bow is. It's just a matter of you knowing that you're the boss of the bow. You own the bow, okay? And then what we're going to do, again, through the magic of TV, I seem to have lost my tag. For the magic of TV, you're just going to bear with me for 1 second because I seem to have lost my little sentiment. Where's my little sentiment? It was just here. It's got caught on something. Oop. Husband's getting all hairy-carry here. All right, give me 1 second. Look at that pretty card. I'm going to see where my sentiment went.
I'm not sure.
Where did it go? It was just here. It's a little white piece of paper.
Yeah.
All right, so see? This stuff happens to everybody, right? You think you have all the stuff, you're doing good, and then your sentiment goes missing. So, what I'm doing is, this is the sentiments that we're going to be using. And because I can't find it, we're going to stamp another one. All right, so I am using the Happy Birthday sentiment stamp from Hero Arts. It's one of my most favorite new sets. Absolutely love it. And we are just going to re-stamp this little sentiment because my other one went missing. It flew the coop. Oh, there it is.
Here.
There it is. I was going to say it flew the coop and it was right there. Okay. So we have cut and stamped the Happy Birthday sentiment, and I'm just going to back this onto a piece of pink cardstock just to keep everything flowing. And I have made it just a little bit bigger, the pink cardstock, just so that it kind of helps to stand out, because this is such a definite slim sentiment. That was so bizarre. It was like there 1 second and gone the next. Okay, so I'm just going to lay this down. I'm going to put it somewhat in the center as best I can without standing up and looking. Now I've got it a little bit too long on one side, so that's okay. I'm just going to bring my trimmer in and I'm going to trim off that excess. And again, because we're working with the guillotine, always have something that can help you keep this in place so you don't cut too much off. Okay, so there we go. So now we have our little piece cut. All right. Now you can decide if you want this underneath, if you want it here. Maybe you don't even want to have a stamped image on the inside. Maybe you just want to have the tag. That's totally up to you, whichever way you decide that you want to do it. I like having it just a little bit off of the vase a bit. I think that it just is so much prettier. Now, because I have a pop dot on the vase already, I don't need a pop dot there, but I am going to need one on this side, because otherwise it's going to flip and flop and it's going to drive me nuts. So I'm just going to turn it over. I'm going to cut a small piece of a pop dot. So just cut your pop dot in half, because this one's just a little too wide. I just want to be sure that I've got it where I want it. I do. So we're just going to squeeze this, get the backing off. Little bit of glue on here, and then I'm going to glue the other side because it's just going to the vase. Okay, so once we get this here, I just need to be sure that this is in place, and it's not. So for me, because I'm very linear, I need to know that I am in the same line as this. Now, you guys, it might not bother you. It's going to bother the heck out of me. I need to know that those straight lines are as even as possible, okay? And then the last thing that we're going to do is I am using the Stampendous Sending You a Hug. This is from the Leafy Frame collection that we do have in stock. And I just thought that I would use the Sending You a Hug because it's kind of cute. And it's such a, these are really pretty stamps and they stamp really well. So I'm just going to, now one little hint, a lot of people ask, how do you get things straight? I like to find a line on whatever I'm working on, or I'll use my ruler. And then when I put my block down, I try to use my ruler as the line. I'm not straight. I'm pretty sure I'm not straight right this second. Okay, so then I'm gonna, when I turn my sentiment over, I can pretty much see through this one because it's acrylic. And then when I set it down, I can somewhat be sure that my line is sitting on top of my ruler line. Now, I'm not guaranteeing you that this is right now because I'm sitting, but I think it's pretty straight. So we're going to use our vintage photo. Now, I always like to make sure that my stamp has been cleaned, even though I know that I did not use this today, but I always get in the habit of making sure that it is clean. And color removes color. So the reason I just stamped it and then wiped it was because any color that was on there would become wet again by the ink that I'm using now. So I don't know for sure if earlier today there was a little bit of ink left on there. So I'm just going to clean it off with a wet baby wipe and then start with a new fresh re-inking. Okay, and then I always, for some reason, I'm one of these people, I always like to make sure from all different angles that my stamp is done. Nice little deep breath. Now, when you're doing this, you do have to make sure that your card is closed. Okay, so that you can be sure that where you're sitting it is going to be right on. Okay, so we're going to hope for the best here because I do have a pop dot on the vase side, and I'm not a rocker. I don't believe in rocking stamps. There we go. Okay, so now we have a nice sentiment that is on there. And then another quick little tip for getting bling lined up. Now, I did it purposefully on this card, okay? You can tell that my furthest left bling is not straight. And it is so obvious, and as soon as this live is over, I will be taking it off, but I did it on purpose. Now, the way that you get these nice and straight is I happen to have a ruler that has the edges on it, but it doesn't matter what ruler that you use. You put your ruler through and have your edge line up with the outer side of your card. That way you know it's straight. The ruler has to be straight. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one. Now I've got to pull this down a little bit because I know the bling I'm using from Pink Fresh. I'm going to use their crystal bling and my tweezers. And I'm going to get a medium size, and I'm going to get 2 small because 3 is my obsessive compulsive number. Okay. So for me, I'm always wanting to, measure twice, check, glue once. So I'm going to make sure that they're where I want them before I commit. And I'm going to push them back against my ruler, being sure that they're straight. Okay. And I'm going to be double fisted here. I'm going to put a little dot. Oops, I just moved my card, but that's okay. Come on. Come on, glue. Don't fail me now. Don't fail me now. We're in the home run here. Gary just cleaned these too. Okay, so we're going to get that as straight as we can. I'm going to put a little dot right here. I'm going to get my first one going. Okay, I'm going to make sure that my ruler is nice and tight against that so that it's straight there. And then I pretty much know where the rest of them are going to go just by visual. And remember, you want to cause a little bit of a suction when you're putting these down. Dries Clear seems to work best that way. So just kind of give them a little shimmy, and that way it is never ever going to move on you again. Okay. So, and you don't need a lot of glue, just a little tiny bit. This stuff holds metal, holds wood. It does all the things. So you don't have to really be crazy with it. And now they're straight. Okay. So you could go ahead and you could put some more bling on here. You could do some Wink of Stella and really get some pretty shimmer inside. But this is just how you do a pretty card. I don't know what they're called, that it doesn't have a full front, but it's just a pretty card. And again, as I've said earlier, any size will do. It doesn't matter if it's a 5x5, 6x6, 5x7. It doesn't matter because you're only going to be cutting out parts, the belly of your card. Okay? So don't forget, ladies, make sure you leave me a comment, like the video, and you will be put in for a draw for tomorrow. We're going to do the draw by end of day. Hi, Angie. Gary had it. What did he do? He did something. Anyway, so I hope that you guys do try this card. It is simple. Have fun with it. Show me some of the stuff that you've done, and hopefully I will be back tomorrow, probably around 4 o'clock, to do our live with all the new product that's come. But I will tell you that it is Graphic 45's Let It Be. We have some indigo. We have the new silicone mats from Sizzix. Thanks, guys. Oh, hi, Sue. How are you? Hi, Sess. Hi, Karen. Oh, he had the sentiment. You had the sentiment. You did that on purpose. Oh my gosh, Mary. Oh, I'm going to kill him. Okay, so we have a lot of stuff coming. Like I said, there's 6 boxes for me to unpack. So I'm going to do that and try to get some of the images out to you guys tomorrow. Saturday is our release party. The store is still open, so come in if you can't make it tomorrow. I will like to mention to you guys again, any of the products that were set aside from Tuesday's live need to be paid by tomorrow at close, or it's going to go back out on the shelf. Okay, guys, I hate to be, mean about it or whatever, but I need to get it gone because we have people waiting on product. So if you're not 100% committed to what you asked for, then we need to get it back on the shelf so it can go to someone that is waiting for it. So you guys have a lovely evening, and I hope that someone gets to win this card tomorrow and enjoys it as much as I enjoyed making it. Have a good night, guys.